Have her try turning up her volume.
Can't hear you, Nita. Sorry, we can see you, but we can't hear you.
There should be something that says with join with computer audio that you should click in, or you might need to enable your microphone.
We can't hear you, but she can call the phone number.
Mm-hmm.
What's the number, Christine?
It is.
We're going to say the phone number, Nita. You can call that from your cell phone, or it looks like it's starting to connect audio now. It's checked. Oh, there you are.
I'm here finally. Sorry.
You're here. Wonderful.
Sorry.
Welcome. Welcome. And it's good to see you. It's good to see everybody.
Yes. I'm
So
ready.
I'm going to go ahead and officially call the meeting to order of the Board of Selectmen with at what time is it here?
6:05.
6:05. In attendance is myself, Mike Ergo, Nita Kincaid, and Bob Carlson. The agenda is posted online. We do have some people who've called in, and we are live on YouTube. So people could be potentially following either on the phone or on YouTube, just so everyone knows. We have 8 items on the agenda, and public comment will be at the end of the agenda. So the first item to touch base on, I just wanted to give a COVID-19 update. We haven't met in a while, but as you know, there's a lot obviously going on. It's been quite a situation since the last time we met. As far as, we all know we're all following the news, so I won't regurgitate any of that. I'm sure you've seen the governor's press conferences. I believe you saw the email I sent last week with regards to the fact that we did have our first case here in North Stonington, which was not unexpected. And that will probably continue, as maybe it won't, but we anticipate that it would continue. Some, I guess, more updates that I just want to make you guys aware of. There's a lot of communication going on with this, as you can imagine. Just in a week's time, basically the Connecticut Council of Governments is meeting weekly now. We via Zoom. We have a Region 4 law enforcement call that I attend weekly. Our emergency management center emergency operations center is partially open. So basically, I'm meeting with the emergency management team every week now on Monday mornings, just to discuss where we're at and any ongoing things, needs of any of the team. And of course, that includes, from town hall, Donnie, Christine, Jim, then we've got the ambulance, the fire, Gary, Kasha is invited on that as well now. The superintendent, Peter Nero, the Board of Ed chair, and I'm probably forgetting fire chief.
Steve Mansfield.
And Steve Mansfield, legislative health director, has been joining us pretty regularly. So that's our own call. And then, of course, we've got our emergency management Region 4 call that happens once a week, public health call that's happening once a week. The governor's having 2 to 3 calls a week with municipal leaders, which has been pretty good, nice open communication there with the state. And then I'm doing a virtual drop-ins now. It's doing those in person for folks that wanted to just stop by, but now I'm trying to do those virtually at least once every 2 weeks, just to have interaction with whoever needs, would like to talk. And I've been able to get the health department on those drop-ins that I've done, which I think is helpful because a lot of the questions have to do with the COVID-19 situation. And I'll just mention today, I reached out to CCM and COST. Both organizations are, they basically work towards making sure towns' initiatives are fought for at the state level. And I reached out to them because I saw there was a discussion with the governors from not just the tri-state area, but I know I think it was Maryland and maybe another state as well. and they were talking about preparing to open back up. They don't have a plan, but they're preparing, eventually we will open back up. So I wanted to make sure that small towns are represented in those discussions, because obviously it's a lot different here than it is in Hartford. And so how does that look for a North Stonington or other small towns? So I did hear back from both of their executive directors, and they do have a seat at the table in those discussions that will obviously just be starting, and I'm sure it'll be a process to decide how to kind of open things back up. But we are represented, and I'll keep you guys posted on that. But with that, I wanted to ask if you guys had any questions or concerns or thoughts about any of that with regards to agenda item number 1.
Not that it's that important, but do we actually have one case or 0? Because we're getting 2 reports. The Dave's reporting 0, and I guess legislature reporting 1. So is it 1?
It is 1 from, Legislate has expressed to us that there seems to be, I'm not sure what the reasoning is behind it, but there's some sort of lapse in some level of reporting, and I'm not sure why, but they had said that even before we had a case. He mentioned it about 2 weeks ago. Legislate made us aware of a case, and so we do have one, whether the day is reporting it or not, or whoever. We have had our first case.
Thank you.
Nita, anything?
We have been watching everything night and day. So, on TV with the various things. So I've kept track of everything, but of course we don't show up on those particular programs.
No.
Yeah. Hopefully never.
Hopefully never. So anyways, all right. So that's that update on that. And we'll just continue to plug along here and try to do our best.
Can I ask you one question?
Sure. Yeah.
Is the school going to wait until the decision is made about the rest of the year? And is that May 1st or something like that?
Yeah, they're not jumping to any decisions. Peter's been very, he's been very, very thoughtful about the process that they're going through. I know the superintendents do talk pretty regularly as far as, how to move forward, but they haven't made any other decisions. The only thing he has said is that the school year will go to that final day, and whether it's in person or virtual, and that's, I think, June 18th or 19th or something
18th.
like that. June 18th. So the kids will end up going till the very end. Obviously, they missed all that time, so that they're gonna work the maximum last day of school thing. But they haven't made a decision on, and whether they'll make that decision or that'll be handed down at a state level. We don't know yet. So. Any other questions on number 1 on the COVID situation?
Thank you.
Okay. Yep, no problem. All right. Number 2, revaluation. So as you know, we are in reval year, and what a year to be in reval, I guess. So with this going on, I was fairly immediately concerned about it once we kind of saw what was happening with the economy and now the distancing and how this reval is even going to work, because they were underway, under contract and underway doing reval. So we did have a couple of discussions. I did speak with Chairman of the Board of Finance about it. Christine, Daryl, and myself met via Zoom to kind of discuss some strategies about how to proceed with reval, if to proceed with reval, what our options were. And what we kind of came to the conclusion of was we've done a lot of the work already for the reval. A lot of the data has been collected, and now the mailings would be going out. And even though we can't get into the houses, we're going to still press forward with the reval. It's just they're not going to be able to get into the houses. So what we have asked is the company that we ended up contracting with, we have asked them for a price break because they are going to be doing less work. I do not have any information on that yet. We're waiting to hear back. as far as what they're willing to do for us. But we are required to do reval on a 10-year cycle. Through a legislative act, we could have potentially asked for an extension, possibly on the reval, but because the work has already been done, and I'm not convinced, and I don't think Dan was convinced that values are going to be better next year than they are right now. I think we're probably in the best situation to just continue forward with the reval. So when I have another update on the reval, I'll let you know, but I just wanted to make you aware and the public aware the reval will continue. And Christine, you have something to add.
We are still getting new outside pictures for all the properties because that was part of the contract, and they're still able to do that even though they can't go into people's houses. So we still are going to get updated outside shots. So that's helpful for our property cards.
Do we, any questions on the reval update?
Good.
Is anybody talking? I can't.
Oh, you couldn't hear, Anita? Try
No,
to turn your
not at
volume
all.
up. You just heard me
Turn
say
it up?
that, so try to turn your volume up a little bit. I gotta do that
Okay.
too.
Oh,
Is that better?
wait. It just kind of, yeah, it is, and it kind of goes in and out, but I'll let you know if I can't hear anything.
All right, I'll try to speak up a little bit too, because I know I'm the one talking a lot of the time anyways. Okay, moving on to the tax collection executive order. Number 3. So the governor has been coming out with a lot of executive orders. If you haven't been following them, there's, I think we're up to, I don't know, N or something now. Maybe that's not right, but we've had quite a lot of executive orders.
I think we're on Y.
We're on Y, okay. So one of them is relates to the tax collection executive order. And what that means is that we have to make a choice with regards to either deferring, offering a potential deferment of tax payments to those who need it, or offering a discount basically on the interest that would have been accrued if they did not pay their taxes on time. I talked with Karen and Christine, and we've reviewed this, and Karen, tax collector Karen, who has been on a number of calls with regards to this issue. You know, we basically are looking for the former of what I just said, and that is we have to choose one of these options. We could choose both, but one of the options, which is a potential deferral for people that need the tax deferral, it seems to make the most sense. It's the easiest to implement. And what that means is that the way we're proposing moving it forward is that we will, tax bills will still, I just lose Nita? No, there
Yes.
she is. She's
Just
still
a
there. I
video.
just lost her video. Okay. So we still send tax bills out at the same time we always do. And what we'll do is we would communicate to people if they are in need of some longer time to pay their taxes due to the situation they're in. It would give them a grace period where it would be due on October 1st. And so normally the tax bills would go out and be due on July 1st, no, August 1st. So this would actually give them a couple of extra months. They would have to fill out a form, simply fill out a form and just provide the proof of residency that they have, and they would be granted this. So that's what we're recommending to move forward with. And before the governor's order even came out, it was something I had been thinking about. We will, I'm sure some people will take advantage of it if they need to. We're not going to ask them why. We're not going to question, if they need it or whatever. They just have to say that they need it and provide the proof of the residency, and then they would be granted it. We have a lot of income that comes from escrowed taxes already, so we'll get that on time. And I think people that can pay will pay like they normally do. But this is something that is not only a good thing for us to do to help our residents that need it, but also required for us to do something like that. So first I'd open it up. Christine, if I missed anything, you can fill in the blanks.
So the application was in the materials that I sent you guys for the meeting. So it just has the questions that they're asked. And the application will need to be submitted to the tax collector by July 1st. So they'll need to do it before we get the tax bill sent out. It's not something that they can wait until they get their tax bill and then decide, oh, I want to apply for the deferment. So that's something we're just going to need to make sure that we communicate with people so that they're not coming in after the fact and then we won't be able to help them.
So do you guys have any questions on that? Yes, Bob.
No, no question, just comment. So I read both deferment and low interest in great detail through the packet. Thank you for Christine to give us such a full packet. So I am in total agreement that deferment program is the better program for the town. My question was going to be, how are we going to qualify in an eligible taxpayer versus not? But it sounds like we're not going to do that now, which is good. They're just going to have proof of residency. If we had to go through proving how much they lost, I would have just said open up to everybody. Because we are going to get, as you said, the escrow money in. People that will pay will probably pay. But since we're not asking the taxpayers to do that, we're just saying fill out the form, prove residency, and you're going to be eligible. Then that makes sense to me. How will we get that form out to the general public so they know they can pick? You know, obviously you can't walk into the town hall and pick it up. So how can we get the form out or the information on the form to people?
Yeah, I mean, I think first, I mean, we'll email it out to our news, to everyone who subscribes to news and announcements. We can make copies and put it in several different places. And it may be something where we even consider doing a press release about it to the local newspapers. We could actually put some forms outside the town hall. We could potentially mount a thing that they're kept on so folks could pick them up. So, I mean, there's a number of ways we can get it out there and we will do that. So good question.
Yeah, one of my other thoughts was doing an ad in the newspaper. So Karen was going to talk to some of the other local tax collectors and see how they were publicizing it, because we know that not everybody goes on our website or on our social media. So we want to make sure that we're reaching everybody we need to reach.
So after we have discussion, and Nita will still have her time to discuss, then we will be voting on this as a board of selectmen to adopt one or the other or both.
Yeah, we should do that. And I have to report that back out to OPM, and there's a number of people that are looking for each town's action on this item.
Yeah, it sounds like you have to have it back by April 25th.
Yeah.
And then if there's an extension by the governor, do we then have to re-vote on an extension? If the governor says we're going to go for another 90 on top of the 90, do we then come back together and vote on that again? We don't just vote.
I would think so. Yeah, I mean, we're only acting on this to extend it as outlined and what you were provided to that October 1st. So if it is anything beyond that, we'd have to act again, I would think.
Thank you.
Nita, any questions?
No, it's very hard for me to hear. It's going in and out, in and out, in and out. I'm trying hard.
What you can do, Nita, if you're having a hard time hearing, is you could mute your computer audio and you could call the phone number, and you might have a better connection on your phone and listen through your phone.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case. And I think if we're going to be doing these more often, I should go to a location. This is not the best place in terms of,
Internet.
This is not the best. I don't get the best messages. Okay. What is the number I should call?
You call it right now.
Is it on the agenda, Christine, the number?
Yeah, it's on the bottom of the agenda, but I can read it if you want.
Okay, go ahead.
646
Wait a minute.
558 8656.
Let me 646-558-8656.
Yes.
Right.
And then you got to put in the meeting ID when it asks you for it.
Are you there?
Yep.
Okay, now put what I have on mute.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then put in the meeting ID when it asks for it. It's on the agenda.
Yeah, she's called into the Board of Finance meeting, so she's, I think, pretty comfortable with the phone
Okay.
system.
So was there, Christine, my screens are kind of full with things right now. Was there specific verbiage with regards to that we were supposed to pass, or it doesn't matter, just indicate that we're passing the deferment option?
There's a form you're gonna need to sign, but there doesn't need to be specific verbiage in your motion.
Okay. So we'll just wait for Nita to get on the phone and then we can,
Yeah, I should have left you one on your table, sorry. I didn't
oh,
do
that's
that.
okay. No problem. I got it right here.
Okay.
Okay, I've got to do it again. It just disappeared entirely.
I can hear you.
We can hear you. Oh, you're on the
That's
computer
through the
again?
computer, yeah.
I'm back on the computer. Yeah, keep going. And if it gets really bad, I will do it the other way. This did work fine the other way, but
Okay.
let's keep going.
All right, well, all I want to do is we'll look for a motion to adopt the governor's executive order for the tax deferment option with regards to the deferring of taxes for residents who are in need.
Second that motion, so moved.
Further discussion on it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 300. Moving on to number 4, animal shelter update. I had this on here. I just wanted to make you aware. I guess I couldn't remember if we haven't met in a while, but I was able to find somebody. As we know, just to brief anyone who was not involved in prior discussions, and we've talked about this a number of times. We've identified the Winnichog Hill property as a potential site for this animal shelter that we've decided we need. And of course, there's a 501c3 being formed to help fund the construction, but the town does own that property. There's a house on the property. There's there's electric, there's septic, there's all the things that you would need to make this a little bit easier and less expensive, hopefully. So we are looking at that property. I was able to speak with somebody who is willingly put some renderings together as a volunteer, which was really nice. I couldn't remember if I passed those along to you guys or not. The renderings. You haven't got? Okay. I'll pass those along after the meeting. I just wanted to make you aware that we are continuing to, try to move things forward here. We also will look at potential grant opportunities. I'll talk about that a little bit more later in the agenda if there's anything out there, but just wanted to make you aware that, the efforts continue on that animal shelter situation. Any questions?
Nope.
No.
Number 5, agenda item number 5, rental of the John Dean Gallup House, RFP. Otherwise, as we have referred to it in the past, as the 1750s house at Hewitt Farm. The painting is coming along and almost done, I think, it's going to be done soon. I'm sure Nita can speak more to that. But what we wanted to do was be ready to get this place rented again, so we get the revenue back coming into the town. So to that end, we put together a template for an RFP that we would advertise to see what types of whether it's an organization or people or whatever would be interested, and let them come forward with a proposal. I know Nita sent back some updates on the RFP today. And so we should probably talk a little bit about that and see what you guys are thinking there. So.
Okay.
Why don't we start with Nita giving the update about how the painting's going first?
Okay, actually, what I tried to put in the document that Mike and Christine had put together, I think, was the changes that I think would be a good idea to do, and then just to talk to you all about it and why it's important. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you.
Okay, so if you had a chance to look at it, did you have a chance, Bob?
I did. Thank you.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
It's 6:30.
So there's the first thing that stands out in my mind is really that the multi-ID side, because as you know, once somebody gets into something like this and they can be making a mess of the whole place, it's very, very hard to get them out if you have a multi-lease here. It's hard to get people out anyway, generally, if they haven't been the right people. So I, at least for this stretch, I would appreciate it if you wouldn't leave multi-year in there and wait and see what happens. So that was one thing I wanted to bring up. The painting, these guys are doing a very good job, and they're an organization that obviously have done a lot of these kinds of things. What they've done, as far as I've seen to this point, and I try to be there at least 3 times during the week, and sometimes more than that, just checking in typically when they're not there so I can really look at everything and see how it's coming. They probably have the rest of their schedule was today would have been the last day, I think. Today or tomorrow would have been the last day, but they are working on it hard and they are doing it well. And they are probably the rest of this week and into next week. And then there will be the other part of us looking at it, making sure that we're okay with everything. Generally, everything I've seen has been very well done in terms of the lead, the encapsulation, but you know, the place, it's hard to kind of almost picture it yet because of course there's everything on the floor, including machines and this and that and the other thing. And I do hope indeed that when they're all done, they will clean it up, because that's, you know, an important ending piece. They're very good. So I think by sometime next week, it should be done. It would be at least a week or more than that. Now, this is because the way this group works, and I don't want to take too much of your time, is one day it can be one person, another day it can be 3 people, because they move these people around. But we've been lucky, and we have one person who's been there most of the time, and he knows exactly what's going on. They're all very pleasant. Some of them don't speak the most English, but they still do great work. Okay, so so I think that everyone's going to be pleased with the painting if it stays at the level that it's doing right now. All of the repairs that they've made where things don't fit together, but the important thing is, if we really want to get somebody interested in the building, we still have, you saw the red stuff I put down here. We still have somewhere, Christine told me, around $4,000 left in the line item. The bathrooms are, no matter how they paint those bathrooms, they are not going to be attractive. And we can't really change the bathrooms. I don't know if you all would remember them. They're tiny, etc. But we can change the facilities, which are absolutely, no matter how hard I've tried to clean them, and that was fun twice. Nobody's going to be looking at it well when they see those bathrooms. The same is true a little bit with the kitchen, but I think the painting that they'll do in the kitchen will make a big difference. And I don't think that we should, for example, I mentioned in this, and I'll just read it quickly, there are funds left there. The work that we really need is do the bathrooms. Now, Matt Deshafi, whom I think most
Nita.
of you or all of you. Yeah,
Dana, can I interrupt you for a sec? So the I think Hewitt Farm Committee is probably best to discuss whether or not they want to do more with the money they have, in my opinion. Because the RFP is what we were talking about tonight as far as future work. There, we approved the painting. If Hewitt Farm wants to spend more money on, then they have a line on fixing the bathrooms or whatever. I mean, that's probably.
all right. So
That'd
you
be
don't
my
want,
opinion. That's my opinion.
you're okay with,
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. I didn't hear that.
okay. So then my next one, okay, then I thought this related. I thought this related to it because you were anxious to get this out as soon as possible. And that's why I put this in, that there are a few of these things that need to be fixed before we get ready to turn it over to somebody. But I won't go on with that. Okay, so the other issue is the same thing, I think, that you and I ran into about giving out the stuff about the flyers that were made, because people are not going to pay attention right now. And I think to go out this soon, we should wait at least another 2 or 3 weeks before we go out with anything, I would like to say, because people are not going to be very interested in this when they're sitting at home wondering when they're going to get back to work and all of that sort of thing.
Okay, so on the RFP,
that's up to
you're
us to
suggesting
decide.
you're suggesting later dates, and then the last thing you had here was you had an opinion on who the selection committee should be, and you thought another selectman and the Hewitt Farm chair and a historical society member.
Yeah, and if you've looked at the screen, you know that I let Ed know about tonight, Ed Harasimowicz, so he's watching this. And I think that Dick Seeger also was watching it. I don't see his name still, but he's
he's still here.
He's still there.
Yep.
And, yeah, I just thought it would be, I mean, I don't know. I thought it would be good if there were at least 2 of the select people involved. That's all.
So 2 select people means probably 3 select people would be involved, and that's fine. That means that
That's what you're asking.
it's a quorum. So unless one doesn't want to be involved,
I'm
and
not
then
hearing
that's
anything.
fine, but you still would post it as a selectmen's meeting because there'd be 2 there. Bob, did you have any feedback on the RFP or any thoughts on what Nita just said?
Yes, so I agree with you on the multi-year lease, Nita. I think we should do similar to what we did with the firehouse, where we did a 1-year lease and then see how it went. And then if we're happy with the tenant and they were happy with the town, that we could move it on to a longer lease. I agree with you on that. I disagree on holding back the RFP. I think that people have a lot of time on their hands now to read and look into things and plan their futures. We just don't know when the future is going to start, but they have time to plan the future. So I'm not opposed to putting the RFP out on the time frame that Mike wanted to put it out. And when it comes to the selection committee, I don't see a need for me to be on it. I think that if you have people from a historical, Hewitt Farm, and then yourself, who has 2 hats on it, I think I'm comfortable with whatever decision that you would make. I wouldn't mind getting feedback from Ed and Dick since they're on in the meeting. But that's where I stand on it. So.
Okay, Mike?
No, that's fine. If Bob, you want to defer to not be on it, I would like to be on it. And so that would comply with your thought about having a couple selectmen, Nita, because I have a lot of interest in what we end up doing over there. Certainly, I'm sure you do too, Bob. But I'd be happy to be included in the process to move it forward. And I do agree with expediting the process. I think
I'm sorry.
I'd like to stay with the time frame that we have here, just because I agree. I think there are people thinking about what are they going to do, and this is an opportunity for the right person, or whatever it is.
My only concern with that is one of the things that we wanted to post were photographs and a video of the interior. And we don't have a video of the interior as of right now, unless there's one I'm not aware of. and I think we should wait until the site is painted and cleaned up. So that's the only logistical hiccup that I have right now.
Yeah. You
In-
go ahead, Nita.
Let me jump in for a few minutes. I am not seeing, I'm able to get around town and go to the Stop and Shop and be watching people right now, et cetera. I'm sure all of you are doing this, but I don't see a lot of people doing anything with the exception of a few very, well, I won't even go into it, but I just think we put it out there and we're going to be disappointed. And if we waited a little bit longer, it would be better. So I disagree with that, because I think people are, if you are so absorbed in worrying about when is this going to be over with, but that's just my opinion from the people I talked to.
No, why don't we, well, we'll wait long enough to get, let's revisit it, because we're not going to be able to get an interior video or pictures until the painting's done, and the painting's not going to be done for another week. So it's probably going to be 2 weeks before everything's to the point where it's presentable. So why don't we just rediscuss it at our next meeting? I mean, that still keeps us trying to be aggressive with the time frame, and we'll know a little bit more in 2 weeks anyway. So does that sound reasonable?
Fine with me.
I'm fine with that. That puts that goes to the beginning of May, which was supposed to be the next place where decisions were going to be made, et cetera. I think people are waiting for all these decisions to be made.
That's fine. Okay. So we'll make those changes that were recommended on in this discussion, and then we'll change the dates. We'll kind of we'll reflect a new and updated RFP, and we'll discuss it at our next meeting, and hopefully we'll be able to kind of run with it after that. We'll have a better idea where things are at in 2 weeks anyways. So, all right.
Yes,
Mike?
thank you very much.
Yes.
Well, just to clear up my position on sitting on that committee. So I am very interested in what goes on with that house. I just wanted to defer my seat to people that have been more involved. I'd love to see what the outcome is, and I would, be disappointed if it wasn't what we would want, the best outcome. But I just felt sitting on that board, with just for the sake of sitting on it, didn't make much sense. So that's all. I'm very interested in what goes on. Obviously, that's all.
And I appreciate that, Bob, because I know you were interested in this stuff. I appreciate that. And I would always like your opinion, but you have to give it to me.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that as well. And of course, your knowledge has been helpful on this whole thing with your background in construction and things like that. So, all right, let's move on then. We'll take it up next time. Number 6. Hang on, I lost my staffing. Oh, yes. Okay. So I just wanted to, I wanted to give an update, and then if Christine has anything to add. So we did, as we had discussed in prior meetings, we had decided to split the admin into a grants and an admin position. And we did move that forward. We did go out to advertise, and we did hire a grants person kind of at the beginning of this. And we're really excited about him. He's got a lot of experience. You'll meet him soon. We'll bring him onto a call, maybe the next one or maybe the one after that. But Craig Russell, he has a lot of experience. He's got state experience, and he's really hit the ground running already with a lot of good questions. We've had a number of, when I say we, myself, Christine, Juliet, we've had a number of calls with him, kind of getting him the fuel he needs to start to apply for some grants. We've kind of prioritized what we see as really the top 6 priorities for potential grant funding opportunities for the town. And of course, there's other things that pop up along the way, but we're real excited about having him on board, and so that's one staffing thing. And then Christine, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add to that.
I kind of want to just talk a little bit about how the COVID-19 stuff is impacting the staff. We still are running a full highway crew. All the guys are here. We're just making sure that they are distancing and working in small groups. Our senior center is closed to the public, but we are still doing Wednesday lunches for the seniors. Teresa's very busy with shopping for that, preparing all the food. She's also doing a newsletter to go out to everyone that's picking everything up. The seniors are taking care of each other. They're doing a lot of phone trees and just keeping in communication with each other. Our rec commission has been trying to figure out a lot of virtual activities and social distancing friendly activities. And they're utilizing their Facebook page a lot for that. So Tommy's been working with them on that. We did have the Mr. and Mrs. Easter Bunny come through town with the help of the fire company and the resident troopers this weekend. So really just trying to keep people motivated and making sure that they're still enjoying their time with their families and making sure they don't kind of feel just stuck inside so that they have other things to do. Within town hall, we're trying to make sure we have no more than one person per office during the day. So Antoinette and I are there every day in our offices, and then Cheryl's covering land use for 4 days of the week, and then Juliet comes in on Fridays and as needed. The assessor's office, we're alternating between Daryl and Cecile, and they're getting a lot done from home, working on reval as well. Karen comes in for tax collection. She's doing work from home, processing everything that people are paying online. And then she comes in after hours 2 days a week to process things that have come in through the mail and get her deposits together. Susan's coming in after hours to make sure that we're still processing our payables and checks are going out every week. And we haven't really lost any time on that. And then Jim's in every morning, making sure that everybody's set. Working from home is really putting a lot of extra emphasis on the technology piece. So he's making sure that everybody, whether they're really comfortable with technology or really uncomfortable, he's making sure they're set up. And so I give him a lot of credit. He has a lot of patience helping everybody get through this time. So we're really working really well as a team. Even though we're not seeing each other every day, we're still in pretty constant communication. So really nobody is disheartened by this. We're all getting through and just doing everything we need to do for the residents.
I think I'd add the, I was doing, when we came in, we started doing quarterly staff meetings, and actually with the COVID situation, I've gone to weekly staff meetings with the staff. We have I think I shared with you the form that I've asked everyone to fill out, that just to kind of keep us posted on what tasks are getting accomplished, especially for those working from home. Obviously, for some, it's a little bit easier than others, but we do have enough work for everybody to continue working, and I'm happy that that is the case. We have a number of projects that we haven't really had the time to get through, which we are working at, and that was talked about at the staff meeting today, just to make sure we kind of get some of these projects done. Mainly some archiving, some filing that needs to be digitized. And it takes actually going into and just looking at different files to make sure they're in the right places and if they need to be recategorized. So there's a lot of work to be done. And I think the staff is doing a really great job of staying positive, staying motivated, and serving the public, which is our most important job. So I think the public, I've gotten a lot of good feedback from people. I hope you have as well. We try to be attentive when anything pops up. Antoinette's been really fantastic about trying to make sure those crucial tasks that she performs are still happening, whether it's recording a land deed or a marriage certificate or something like that. We're still making arrangements. So even though the doors to town hall are locked, we will make arrangements for somebody to come in if necessary to do what needs to be done. So I commend Christine for the work she's doing, and the whole staff. They've done a great job. So.
Yeah, and the building official's been very busy. There's still a lot of inspections going. A lot of people are doing improvements around their houses since they're home. And Ledgelight has been doing quite a bit as well. I saw Chris today, and he said he's had a lot of septic inspections and different things going on. So,
yeah. Bob, Nina, any questions on any of that?
No, I was just going to ask about the building inspector, but she answered it, so we're good.
Tried to make sure I hit them all.
You did. Thank you.
All right, I just want to move on to number 7 then, if we're good with that, appointments. I just wanted to make sure I was in front of this because last time it was a little confusing or whatever, and we are going to have a vacancy at treasurer, and it's a very important position in town. So I've put it out there in my weekly updates a couple of times, so folks know that, you know, we would love to have somebody with some CPA experience. Obviously, it remains an elected position, so if we do appoint somebody, they would have to run for election, you know, when that comes around. But we are going to have an opening. I think might be, I'm not sure when, maybe the end of the month, maybe the end of the following month, but it's coming. And so I did get one application, which I shared with you both, which would be a potentially great candidate, but I wanted to bring it up in a meeting so that way, if there are other people that have interest and have great experience for us to be able to consider, you know, it'd be that now would be the time for them to take a look at that application and send it in to us. So, any questions on that?
Did we, I think last time you went out to both RTC and the Democrat town committee, DTC, and you asked her if there was anyone they had to put forward. Have we done that
Can't
to
hear you.
both? Did this candidate come from a party, or is it someone that just heard your announcement?
No, they saw the announcement and they sent it in that way. So there's not a vacancy yet, but I know both party chairs are, one of them's on this call. And I know they're both aware of the vacancy, and it certainly could be discussed at their parties' meetings. Just for the public's knowledge, you do not have to be in a party to be the treasurer for the town. You can certainly put your application forth if you were an unaffiliated person or of a minority party, like an independent or green or whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah, the parties can certainly let their constituents know, and probably would be good for the more people we have that are interested, the better, because it makes for a more of a decision for us to get through and hopefully get a really qualified person.
And since you didn't, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
since you didn't mention the applicant by name, I won't either. But, and I think this is a great application, by the way. But if, trying to be generic about this, if someone was to apply and they were on a current board or commission, is there any conflict of interest depending on what board or commission that is, and being the treasurer at the same time?
There could be conflict depending on what board they're on, and they may have to resign from that board. It would depend on what board they're on. So,
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. So we can cross that bridge when that happens. But
Thank you.
Yeah, the information is in the statutes as far as what positions within town conflict with the treasurer position.
yeah,
My-
yeah.
So how do we end up choosing the person who's going to be, once the things come in, how do we end up choosing them? And I'm assuming, I'm just going to say this right out, that all three of us have seen what all that Mark had to do and how great it was that he had so much experience and usefulness, that we really need to be careful that we have the same thing again, as close as we can get, my feeling.
Yeah, so I mean, the process will be the same as it was last time. We'll take and you know, we'll take first of all, we'll take the applications we get in. If the parties have anyone, we'll take those. We'll just take all the information, and then we'll just have a discussion, and we'll appoint somebody. We do have a deputy treasurer. As you remember, Mark did deputize Christine. She's a deputy treasurer, so she is able to sign things. So it's not an urgent, super urgent matter, but with all the things going on in town, it really is going to be helpful to have somebody. I mean, I often talk to the treasurer we talk about, you know, to make sure the financial decisions for the town are the proper ones. So we want somebody who knows finances and has an understanding of our budget. I mean, that would be ideal. I mean, obviously, you know, we'll hopefully we'll luck out. We'll have some interest in town, and it is a stipend position for those who might be knowing that there is a budgeted stipend for this position. So there's a little bit of income that comes with it as well. So just wanted to put that on the radar. So it's just being transparent about that that's coming and that, should be discussed. And we'll take it up when it comes up. When a resignation finally comes forward, we'll take it up again. But I'll keep mentioning it in my updates so that way maybe we get some more applicants. If there's nothing else on that, that gets us through our agenda. So we have public comment at number 8. I am looking at my screen here.
I have
Let's go to the public first. So I'm looking to see if there's not that many people on the Zoom call. So I'll just kind of go through and I'll just unmute the public here and we can try and manage this. If there's any public comment, go ahead and speak up and we'll try to work through that.
This is Ed Harrisowitz.
Hi, Ed.
Hi, how are you? I'm putting
Good.
together an agenda for next week. We're gonna have a special meeting on Monday.
Okay.
So the items you were talking about, we're gonna go ahead and discuss those in the upcoming Monday meeting. The only thing is, this is the first time I've participated in this, so I'm gonna have to try to set up one of these with my committee, so I may need Christine's help.
That's fine, Ed. I'll set it up in Zoom. I'll schedule it for you and then I'll send you instructions that you can send out to your committee.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, we can help you. And I know Juliet had offered to,
I'll do that. That's under my department.
it's under her. So she may attend your meeting, Ed, as well to help help with the logistics of it and whatnot as
Okay.
well.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any other public comment from public?
Yeah, just Dick Seeger.
Hi, Dick.
How you doing? I'd just like to say to Ed that I'll call him tomorrow about Zoom.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Dick.
Okay.
Brett, was that you?
Yep. Hi, Mike. Brett
Hey, Brett.
Mastriani. Just a question about the treasurer's role. Last time when there was the vacancy, you reached out for a party endorsed candidate, and then you decided amongst those two. So you're doing it a different process this time. And then my follow-up to that is, as it's read, it's you guys, the selectmen can appoint until the next regular town election or a special election called for the purposes of electing a treasurer. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And I mean, last time it was a little different because we had a resignation. So I'm trying to get in front of it this time. So we don't have a resignation yet. And that's part of the reason I haven't sent anything officially to the parties. But I mean, I know everyone knows about it. So just trying to be transparent about the fact that it's coming. The treasurer was kind enough to let us know that it's coming. So I wanted to make sure the public knew about it.
Okay, and just my follow-up to that is, I know with treasurer that you need to be a resident of the town of North Stonington. Is that not true for a deputy treasurer? And with that, when I was told about last time when we had a treasurer resign that moved out of town, it was told to me by the treasurer that they can appoint a deputy treasurer, but once that treasurer resigns or moves out of town that appointed that deputy is no longer active. Do we know if that's?
Yeah, so the deputy does not have to live in town. We checked that out when we were trying to figure out whether or not that would be an appropriate designation for the deputy. And that is the case. Christine, did you have something additional to add to that?
Yes, so I've discussed it with the town clerk about the phrasing of the appointment of the deputy and how the deputy can serve if there is a resignation or a vacancy within the treasurer. And the interpretation by both the current treasurer and the town clerk is that the deputy can still serve until there is a new treasurer. And the point of that is so that there is someone there to fill the role if the treasurer's not physically there.
But let me add this. I don't personally I mean, my preference is that we get a treasurer as soon as possible. I don't want Christine serving as the treasurer. I think it's better for the town that the treasurer is somebody who is not working in the town hall. So I think it's a nice safety measure. Certainly Christine's intimately familiar with everything, so it certainly can help us get through a pinch or whatever, but it's not something that we utilize or nor want to. Any other public comments?
If nobody else has one, then I have one other question.
I don't know, but you go ahead with your other question if you want first.
In the state statute for what position the treasurer can hold and what boards and commissions conflict with that, there is a there's a guideline of certain committees that are posted on different town websites and with the state that clarify it a little bit, but it's not generally in the statute. And if you see it, there's certain committees in town that can't hold a salaried position in town, but it's not clearly defined in the statute. I know Christine mentioned that she looked up the statute and there's certain positions that a treasurer couldn't hold in town or certain committees. I'm just wondering what statutes she was looking at. And if she also looked at guidelines.
I don't think we have the statutes. We're not really prepared for that question tonight, Brett, but we'll certainly do our due diligence before appointing a treasurer. So but we'll look.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Other comments?
I do, if nobody else does.
Yep. Juliet, I'm not hearing anyone else speak up, so yes.
So I just have some thoughts. So when we set up the whole governance structure and created Christine's job and my job, I guess I had a slightly different idea of how that was going to work. And I'm just feeling, especially now that working from home, I get it, it's a little more difficult, but a little more disconnected from the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance than I thought was going to happen. And I'm concerned about that, especially right now, that, you know, we are separated and it's harder to keep track. So I guess it would be helpful to me to know what meetings people were going to, especially if the information given at those meetings had an impact on economic development in particular, because we all know that, I mean, obviously the economy is being impacted considerably. And so everything that's going on does intersect with my world. So, and I'm feeling a little left out of that. So, you know, even in this meeting where the public is probably more likely to attend a Board of Selectmen meeting than other meetings, I didn't hear any updates on, you know, planning projects that are in the works or the water sewer, you know, some of these big things that are on the horizon that need attention too, and that the public should be aware of that are happening still, you know, and that they should be given an update at your meetings as well. If we're going to, you know, I heard updates from other segments, so to speak. The Hewitt Farm also, I haven't seen the RFP. Hewitt Farm committees under land use, there are restrictions to what can happen there. So I want to see that RFP before it goes out, please. And also like the RFP, the renderings for the dog pound. I mean, is there money for other renderings as well? Like, where did that money come from? Or
that was, as I mentioned, Juliet, that was a volunteer, actually.
All right, I couldn't remember.
I'm sorry, a volunteer did those for free. That's the only reason we have them, so.
Right, is there any chance would that volunteer do any other free ones?
I'm not sure. I'd have to check with them.
But
so.
if we could, that would be awesome. But what else did I have here? And if we're talking about, I had some questions about vacancies, if you want to mention in your report that I wasn't aware that Connie had resigned from the housing committee. So I think they have they have a couple vacancies. EDC, correct me if I'm wrong, Brett, I think has one, potentially two, and planning and zoning still has one. So if you could just mention those in your update. I forgot to email you.
Happy to do it. Any other public comments? Okay. With that hearing none, I'd entertain a, yes, Bob, go ahead.
Just quick, is the EMS committee meeting tomorrow at 4?
I don't think they filed an agenda for tomorrow. They had initially talked about a meeting, Bob, and what happened, I think I emailed you afterwards, they missed their meeting, they missed the deadline for filing for that meeting, so they did not meet. And then I think that screwed up their subsequent meeting. So I do not think they have a planned meeting tomorrow. They were talking about meeting on Friday though, but I'll make sure that I'll let you know.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Do I
I
have a
have-
motion?
Mike, can I?
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Are we going to go back to our every 2 weeks meeting so that we are gonna do that? And if so, is it possible that I could go to someplace else, like in the other part of town hall and do it there? I'm on a Frontier internet thing, and it really is not very good. So it's nothing to do.
You can absolutely go to the town hall and hop on there, Nita. You can use the town hall conference room, and that's no problem. And then and we're going to go back to our normal meeting schedule. So I mean, we had some
Hopefully eventually before.
Yeah, we had our regular meetings. We had some extra meetings for budget or whatever, but we were planning to meet again in 2 weeks. So somebody knocking on the town hall window. All right. Any other public comments?
I have one more, Mike,
Sure.
just regarding the school
I'm
repurposing
not-
committee. I sent you a few emails regarding
Oh.
a EDC representative for that committee, whether we were allowed to vote and put one forward. Because we don't have a representative on that committee, and especially if it's going to be used for commercial properties or purposes, potentially. I think it's important for someone to be on that committee from EDC. I just wanted to get feedback whether we were allowed to have a discussion at my EDC meeting and put a vote together to put someone forward to that committee.
I think we talked about it at one of our last Board of Selectmen's meetings. It got a little bit confusing because we had somebody from EDC on it who resigned from EDC, and that took up the space that we had designated for the EDC person. We don't have a planning and zoning person right now. So actually, Brett, if you want to talk to Lou, and if there's not somebody from planning and zoning, it probably would be fine if you put somebody from EDC, because we still do have a vacancy on the committee. I also want to clarify, you mentioned something about the building being used for commercial purposes. There's been, just for the benefit of those listening, there's certainly been no discussion about any definitive anything with regards to that building. So I don't want to plant any seeds of confusion on that. I don't know I'm not sure where the committee's at with potential uses. I know they're doing a lot of work. They've had a number of meetings already, so they're kind of well within the work process now. So actually, putting somebody on there would be okay. I think they've probably had at least 5 meetings already, so whoever comes in will be a little bit behind on the work that's been done, but it's probably not a problem if they are aware of that. So if you could talk to Lou about it, and maybe the two of you guys can just discuss that, and if there's not anybody from planning and zoning, we could take it up at our next meeting.
I'll talk to Lou on that, but just to let you know, we never put a name forward from EDC. You didn't wait that long for us to do that. Put a name forward, and that person resigned within the same week of that first meeting, and I sent you an email and asking for us to be able to put a replacement forward, because I think it's integral that someone from Economic Development Commission is on a committee that's looking for a potential use of a building, whether it's commercial or.
We love to have more people step up and be on committees, so that sounds great. If you just talk to Lou, and we'll bring it forward at our next meeting. Any other comments? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
Second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adjourned at 7:08. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.